to Brazil Bound here on MLSsoccer.com, coming to you from Cruz Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, the night before the U.S. takes on Mexico in World Cup qualifying with former U.S. national teamer Corey Gibbs and MLSsoccer.com editor Andrew Wiebe. I'm your host, Jason Seguini. We're going to start here talking about the U.S. and Mexico. They were limping into this game, coming off of some disappointing results in World Cup qualifying. The U.S. dropped 3-1 in Costa Rica. But the good news for the U.S. is that Mexico might actually be in a worse situation. They dropped a 2-1 result at home to Honduras and followed that up by firing their coach, Chepo de la Torre. Corey, I'm going to start with the U.S., though. They did not look good at the beginning of the game in Costa Rica without Jozy Altidore and without Michael Bradley on the field, and now they are in the same situation here in Columbus. How is Jurgen Klinsmann going to get by with those two absences?
Oh, you're exactly right, Jason. Jozy has been superb for the U.S. these past several months, but I think Klinsmann has a lot more options in that position. Now we look at Michael Bradley. It's harder shoes to fill, but I think Kyle Beckerman will do okay in that position.
Yeah, I agree with Corey here. I think the nice thing about Beckerman is that he defines those roles in the midfield very clearly. He will be the one to sit. He will be the one to track midfield runners into the 18. That gives Jermaine Jones a little bit more freedom. We saw against Costa Rica that was an issue.
All right, absences are really going to be an issue for Jurgen Klinsmann. Jozy Altidore out, but Matt Besler and Jeff Cameron are also out. John Anthony Brooks went back to Germany, so tell me, what is Klinsmann going to do with the back line?
He's very limited to that center-back position, but I think Clarence Goodson will step in and be there with Omar Gonzalez to pair the middle.
Yeah, I think he's the only logical answer at this point. The nice thing about Goodson, he is going to be a threat along with Gonzalez on set pieces. The question, though, is who has the recovery speed if the Mexicans get behind that high U.S. line?
Well, I mentioned Jozy Altidore is going to be out for this game, so the question is, what does Jurgen Klinsmann do up top? And there are a lot of fans out there clamoring for Aron Johansson. Is it time to take the training wheels off and let him go from the start of this game, or do you expect the forward line to be made up of some combination of Donovan, Johnson, and Dempsey?
Yeah, look, those fans are still going to be clamoring after this match. I don't think there's any chance Aron Johansson starts against Mexico. You can't throw him in the belly of the beast just yet. Eddie Johnson is your man here. He's got chemistry with both Dempsey and Donovan. You play him up top, let him hold the ball, and get him behind. I think he's the one to start this match.
All right, we're going to throw it to Simon in New York shortly for more on Mexico, but I want to give you guys a couple quick hitters related to this game, starting at right back. Michael Parkhurst or Orozco Fiscal?
Ooh, Michael Parkhurst.
Yeah, I think we saw the Orozco Fiscal experiment fail. Michael Parkhurst.
All right, Landon Donovan, would you rather see him up top as a forward or in the midfield?
With the options that Klinsmann has, I think you see him in the midfield.
Yeah, there's no doubt Dempsey's getting tossed out of that withdrawn role. I think Landon's out wide if he's on the field.
All right, you guys have to stop agreeing, so I'll give you this one. One-goal game. If this is a one-goal game, who's the one guy scoring the goal?
I have to say it again. I think the hero is going to be Landon Donovan.
Yeah, Landon Donovan often the hero, but I think Eddie Johnson does this one again. He gets in behind and finishes on that Mexican defense.
No votes for Chicharito here. Let me ask you a final question about Mexico. As much as they're struggling through World Cup qualifying and just changed their coach, do you expect to see them in Brazil next summer?
Yeah, Mexico has too much talent. You're definitely going to see Mexico in Brazil next year.
Yeah, no doubt. They'll be in Brazil.
All right, speaking of Mexico, let's throw it back to Simon Borg in New York for Mexico in a nutshell.
So Chepo de la Torre out as Mexico coach, and frankly, I think he dug his own grave here. Against Honduras, he went with a 4-4-2, and 3 of his midfielders were guys 33 and over. You just can't do that in the modern game, having that many players. So I think Luis Fernando Tena, who took Mexico to the gold medal in London, he will go young. First, Chaco Jimenez out from the wing. He needs quicker, faster players, so I think Guardado and Aquino on the wing. Gio dos Santos moves to attacking midfielder. Then up top, who's the lone forward? I think between Oribe Peralta, who scored against Honduras, and Chicharito, who came off the bench, they go with the intimidation factor and they stick with Chicharito. In the midfield, Zavala and Hector Herrera, a guy that Tena had in the Olympics. He has a license to move forward. He goes with a younger lineup, a quicker lineup. Tena will not repeat the mistakes that got Chepo de la Torre fired.
Thanks, Simon. Now let's take a look at the Hex standings. The United States in second place as of now with a victory over Mexico, though. They guarantee themselves at worst the 4th seed, and that, of course, is the playoff spot against Oceania. Mexico and Panama still have to play each other in the remaining games.
Yeah, and if the U.S. do win, there's going to be some scoreboard watching going on. If Honduras can get a result of any kind against Panama and San Pedro Sula, the U.S. are off to Brazil. No playoff needed.
All right, it's prediction time. Corey, let me know. What do you think is going to happen on this field tomorrow night?
I have to say USA 2-1.
2-0, Dos a 0. Columbus familiar with that scoreline. I think they'll get it again.
All right, I agree with Corey at 2-1. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And I want to remind everyone, we're going to be back on Friday with a special edition of Brazil Bound. We're going to take a look at who we think would be on the team should the World Cup start today, 9 months away from Brazil 2014. I want to thank Simon Borg in New York and our production crew. For Corey Gibbs, Andrew Wiebe, I'm Jason Segini. Thanks for joining us on Brazil Bound.